Hey everyone, you're listening to Nerd Boys Comic Blog. I'm Marco.
And I'm Andrea.
And today we're doing a whole discussion on the movie Coco. We just saw it, we loved it. I have my very strong love for this movie, and Andrea has an even stronger, heartwarming love for the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know Andrea's going to take a lot of the portion of this video. She's going to talk all about her stuff. So before she starts, I just want to share
Your view of it?
Yeah, I just want to share my opinions. Sorry, there was a car honking in the background, so I just paused for a bit. I really think this movie's like Pixar at their best, when they don't really care about making money or making sequels. They just want to make a movie that gets you in the feels and like is just good storytelling, and that's really what Pixar does best. And they know how to play with your emotions. And this isn't one of those traditional stereotypical Pixar movies where it's like, it's toys, but what if toys were alive? Or it's feelings, but what if feelings were alive? It's a movie that actually deals with a culture and, you know, represents us in a pretty positive light. Mm-hmm. And this is coming from two Mexican people.
Yeah.
This is the most authentic Mexican podcast ever. Not really.
Well, I don't know. From my side, I guess it can be because... Wait, so did you want to talk more about it? Do you have anything more to say? Because I'm going to start throwing everything out there, my feelings, my memories of it, and how I can connect to it.
Yeah, the movie, for me, it's really good. It gets you right where it needs to. I know you're going to spoil a lot of this, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, definitely go out and check it out.
Because I will spoil it so much.
Yeah, this is pretty much just a discussion of me and Andrea talking about pretty much our feelings post-movie about the movie. And yeah, I'm swept up in a lot of emotions right now. I know you were crying pretty hard during the movie.
I cried the first 5 minutes into the movie. I cried in the middle of the movie. I cried literally the last 30 minutes of the movie. I cried, let's just say I cried the entire movie. It makes more sense if I just say that.
Yeah, you don't want to go like, I cried here, and then 20 seconds later I was crying here. And yeah, it's fun, exciting, and a lot of kids in the theater, because we saw it in the morning, so a lot of kids were there too. Mm-hmm. They were like...
When it's a Saturday.
They were getting into it. They were like kind of cheering and laughing along with the movie.
Yeah, they're like, do it! Do it! There was so much emotion in those kids.
Yeah, it really got the kids going. A lot of parents were like, shh, enjoy it. And then we're like, we're there with the kids kind of like talking too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we talk about Coco, I do want to talk about Olaf like that.
Oh, I remember leaning over to Marco and being like, isn't this a little too long to be a Pixar short?
Yeah, I don't know what Disney thought, because they were like, let's put like a 20-minute Olaf cartoon special on this, even though it should be on like ABC for Christmas.
It wasn't all that bad. I mean, it's getting to that holiday part, and it feels like it talks about holidays.
Yeah, it's all about Christmas. Traditions. But it's weird.
It's traditions.
It's traditions.
Because there was Jews there. It's not Christmas.
Yeah, it's traditional holiday stuff.
Yeah.
But it felt kind of weird to go reverse order, where it's like Christmas and then Day of the Dead.
Oh, yeah. That felt very weird.
Yeah, it was like
Like, it made you disconnect a little bit.
Kind of, because it's like, right after watching Olaf, you're like really into like Christmas and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we have to roll back to like 2 weeks ago when Day of the Dead was going on, or 3 weeks ago at this point. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But this is a good Thanksgiving movie. If you haven't seen it with your family, definitely should take your kids.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching this movie every year, getting close to like Halloween, Day of the Dead, and everything.
Yeah.
This is definitely like...
This will be our tradition.
Yeah.
I know your mom's going to love this one too.
Oh, I know she will. She will cry as much as I did. But I think we skipped over Olaf.
Yeah. No, Olaf's kind of like, eh.
It was okay. But the whole time I was just like, Elsa's dress is going to make millions and millions of dollars.
They're really milking Frozen, but like a lot of kids still love Frozen. I couldn't imagine like a Moana sketch like 4 years from now. But I can still imagine Frozen being stretched out like this. Because Frozen's like The Lion King for like the next kids. The next generation of kids are going to watch Frozen way more than they're going to watch Tangled or anything like that. Tangled is Little Mermaid. Frozen is Lion King.
I was a huge Little Mermaid fan, okay?
Yeah, and there's plenty of kids who like Rapunzel. But Elsa's kind of taking the spotlight like Simba. And I think Moana's going to be our Aladdin.
No, Merida?
No, I'm thinking like traditional Disney, not Pixar Disney.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, I don't know. It was cute, but I felt like I could have done without it. Like, I just want to watch Coco.
Yeah, I came here to watch Coco, not 20 minutes of Olaf messing around.
Yeah. It was funny.
Olaf's the worst part of Frozen.
Do you think so?
I think so.
Josh Gad. It's probably his voice, huh?
Yeah. But also, Josh Gad doesn't really act like that in any other movie besides this. Like, in other movies he's been in.
Beauty and the Beast? Isn't that him?
Oh, yeah. He's whatever his name.
Gaston's sidekick?
Gaston's sidekick / lover.
No, a fanboy.
Yeah. Oh, a fanboy. That's right. He's a fangirl.
He's a fangirl.
Yeah.
What was I saying, though? It was okay. Could have done without it. It didn't make me feel like, yeah, I'm totally in the mood for Christmas. I've already been stuck in that mood of like, yeah, I'm totally ready for Christmas. And this was like, it's going to show up on Disney Channel around Christmas either way.
Yeah.
Like, you could have waited till then.
They really could have just been like, ABC Family, Christmas, Disney Channel, Disney XD for all they care.
Yeah.
They could have just thrown it on any channel and been like, watch it. But here was like...
I feel like they made more money off of doing that.
Maybe. Or maybe it's like tax purposes. It was like, if we make it this way, we can put it on TV within a certain amount of weeks or whatever.
Yeah. I think my favorite part out of that whole little Olaf short was just Sven.
Oh, Sven? Yeah. He was a good part of Frozen. But anyway, do you want to actually talk about Coco?
Yes! I thought we were never getting to it. Just like that short. I felt like we were never going to get to Coco.
Yeah. Actually, I heard a lot of families whispering like, don't worry, the movie's going to start any minute now.
Oh!
And then, because the family behind us was like, what's going on?
Where's Coco? But yeah, there was a lot of kids just like, oh, haha. But once like Coco started, they like started getting more into it. Like they started calming down because a lot of the kids were going wild already. They're like jumping up on their seats, running around in the theater. Well, not that crazy. But it was...
Well, there were like a few running around.
Yeah, and then when the movie started, they all like just went shh, they went quiet. I was like, oh, this is perfect. And I've been stuck in theaters with a lot of kids before, but this one was like, they all calmed down. Yeah,
it was a tolerable level of like excitement. Because when I see a Marvel movie and there's fanboys that go crazy, I'm like, okay, can we like be quiet? We're all adults here. But for kids, I'm like, they can kind of get into the action and they can get into the suspense of it all or the sad moments. Because I remember, again, the family behind us, the little girl's like, I'm scared. It's like, no, sweetie, you're not scared. You're sad. And she's like, oh.
Oh. For some reason, I wanted... Now I'm just, like, stuck on the family behind us. The dad was talking to his kid, like, his daughter, I believe, was on his right side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was telling her about when the Howl's Moving Castle came out. And he's like, oh, yeah, they're the same ones that made Totoro. And I was like, oh, so cute!
Yeah, we had a lot of previews for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like House of the Castle, Sherlock Gnomes, a terrible sounding movie, Ferdinand, pretty much every bad non-Disney movie was previewed.
Ew, and there was too many jokes in there that I felt like should not have been a child. Like, it felt like it was directed for children, but the jokes felt too adult-ish. Like, the adults in the theater understood it and laughed. But I was like, your kids are sitting right there. Yeah,
and also twerking gnomes is not like a funny thing.
It really isn't. I don't think gnomes are funny at all. They scare me.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Coco again.
Okay, yeah, Coco. So,
non-stop Coco from this point on.
Do you want to say anything from the beginning, like what you felt about Coco as like it immediately started?
Right off the bat, I was kind of getting like all emotional because, you know, Charles and Damon, they have Black Panther coming out next year. And you and I have Coco. Like this year, it was like, yeah, it's finally happening. We're in this now. We're being like represented.
Yeah.
And like, I can't think of a single movie besides Road to El Dorado.
I know.
That was like, oh, be proud that you're Hispanic or like you're Mexican.
So for me, this like, because it immediately starts with our main character explaining his backstory. So our main character's name is Miguel, not Coco.
Not Coco.
Miguel. We get a Coco later. But Miguel basically introduces his story, and his story starts off with his great-grandma?
Yes.
So his great-grandma is Coco. And he's saying from her perspective, because that's who he knows the most. And he's saying about how when Coco was little, she had the perfect family, like a father who wanted to be a musician and a loving mother. And when they had her, everything felt perfect, but the dad left to be a musician. And it just felt so heart-crushing. Like, I was like, oh, wow, this is sad already. But it picked up with, like, the mom being a strong mom, like a single mother raising her child, and it just like made me cry. I don't know why. Maybe I immediately thought of my mom raising 4 kids by herself and doing everything she can and learning trades just to raise her family, and it like hit me so badly. Like I started immediately crying, and I want to start crying right now. But it was like that's how it is. Like your mom, like in our Mexican culture, your mom is the strongest figure in the family.
Yeah, it's often like that, where like your dad works, but your mom also works, and she's also raising the family. And
she cooks, she cleans, she teaches you how to do your homework, she dresses you, she knows where to take you to do other things, or like drives you to your school for your after school activities or something. I don't know, and it just, that's my mom, and it made me feel so happy and sad at the same time, because I just like had all these memories of like when Miguel was talking about his strong mom and everything, and then also that there's still a problem though, even though they have a strong family bond, that music is not allowed in their family after his great-grandfather left. It's
like Footloose, where it's like, no music. Like, music has scarred our family, so we're gonna ban it from the family household.
Yeah.
And Miguel's Kevin Bacon. He wants to be footloose and play the guitar.
Yeah.
And his whole arc is pretty much the want, which is to become a musician, and the need, which is to be one with his family again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to go back to the living world. Because in this movie, he kind of forsakes his family to pursue his dream of being a musician.
Mm-hmm.
And he steals a guitar of a very famous musician who he thinks is his great-great-grandfather, Ernesto de la Cruz?
De la Cruz.
Yes. Who's kind of a hodgepodge of 2 actors, you said, right?
Vicente Fernandez and Pedro Infante.
Yeah.
Pedro Infante is, like, my favorite, like, actor/musician, because that man has some vocals in him, and he is the funniest actor I've seen, probably because I grew up watching him when I was with my mom. Like, I would sit there and we would watch these black and white movies of Pedro Infante, like making jokes with his other co-actor, and I loved it. Like, it's just like watching Ernesto de la Cruz like singing and everything. I was like, that's Pedro Infante, and it's like bringing me black and white movies to my head and remembering spending time with my family watching those.
For me, it kind of reminded me of when I would watch El Santo with my dad.
Yeah.
Because it had that same feel as like a black and white movie of like a very famous Mexican actor / wrestler. De la Cruz wasn't a wrestler, but he was a musician.
Yeah.
He showed me some clips on YouTube right now of like, what is his name? Elefante?
Pedro Infante?
Infante. He was just exactly like that, except De la Cruz has the physique of Vicente Fernandez, yeah. And I was like, it's like a hybrid of the 2 characters.
Yeah,
or the 2
like
people.
It was a nice clean shave, pretty look, like Pedro Infante, but the mariachi look of Vicente Fernandez.
Yeah, and throughout the movie there's also Easter eggs and references to other historical figures or great actors and artists. Like,
I didn't pay attention to any of that, so Marco will tell you more about it.
There's Frida Kahlo, there's El Santo.
Besides Frida.
Yeah.
There was too much Frida going on, that's for sure. I was like, okay, you're overplaying this character a little too much.
Yeah, it was kind of like a weird stereotype of Frida.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about her, but I'm like, that's kind of like, maybe she was like that, but I don't think she was too...
She was like really into art, but like really about herself, empowering herself to empower other people.
Yeah.
So that's what it represented through the movie.
Yeah, the joke was she's very vain, and she's...
But I felt like a lot of characters were being portrayed as vain.
Yeah, or like cartoon versions of themselves, if they're real people, actually. But El Santo, you gotta have a shout out to that cameo.
Oh, yeah.
In the theater, I was like, oh my god, it's like Spider-Man showed up in this movie or something. It's like Captain America had a cameo in Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah.
Except this is a better movie than Thor: The Dark World. right off the top of my head, I have to think this is like my third favorite Pixar movie now.
Which one is your first?
Toy Story 3. And then
Which
Incredibles.
Oh. For some reason, I thought, what's his called? You always talked about this movie when I first moved in with you. The one with the emotions and everything.
Oh, Inside Out.
Yeah.
I love Inside Out, but this, like, that was my third favorite. Now Coco's my third favorite.
Oh, wow. I don't know. I have to put Coco as the top right now because, like, this is my culture. This has brought back memories. I like legit even though like it was telling the story, and when Miguel was telling the story, I was crying because I was just like, this is sad. I connect, and then once we got past the story and it started showing like El Pueblo, oh my god, I was just like, this is what it felt like for me when I was in Mexico, like when I lived part of my life in Mexico or visiting Mexico, like having that little house that has like different houses connected. That's your familia living all together in one area, and then having that courtyard in the middle. That is symbolic. I don't know, like that's a Mexican thing. That's how it is for us in Mexico too, like having that courtyard connecting houses together. It's just, that's so pretty.
It brings the family together.
Yeah.
It's a big theme of the movie. It's family and knowing where you came from and like how close family is to you, especially in our culture. It's just that those are the people that you grew up with, who taught you everything you know, and who you pass on traditions to when you get of age.
Yeah, and then having the el cuartito, the little room with the pictures of all the people in your family that have passed away. We had that. And even when we moved to America, when my parents decided to buy a house, our little storage unit, you know, the ones that are in the backyard, my mom turned that into one of those cuartitos where you put your santos, your cruces, your Virgen, and all that. You have all that, and then people that have passed away, the ones that you want to remember. So it's just, it felt very, like, I could connect so much to it.
Yeah. And it's not like Book of Life where it's stereotypical in
So I've never seen that movie, so I can't.
Oh, well, the Book of Life kind of comes off as stereotypical, and it's like just surface level Mexican. It makes a lot of jokes that are like at the expense of Mexicans. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of funny because I am Mexican, so I can laugh at this. But it's also like, it didn't feel authentically like trying to do something more than just be the Day of the Dead. Like, this was the culture, everything was represented, the feel of the movie felt authentic, and everything surrounding the themes of the movie and just the aesthetic, it felt real, like real Mexican. And Book of Life is kind of just like trying to be faux Mexican in a kind of way. And I'm surprised this is a Pixar movie because Pixar usually just does like weird out there stuff and makes it kind of feel like it's for everyone. And this kind of made the Mexican culture feel like it's relatable to everyone. Because even if you haven't grown up in Mexico, or if you don't have relatives who are Mexican or actually aren't Mexican at all, I feel like you can understand this movie on like a pretty basic level. Like, everything felt accessible to audiences. And that was something that Book of Life doesn't really do. That's something that what's that other one that I was trying to think of? There's like a bunch of Nickelodeon ones that like try to be Mexican, like El Tigre, the cartoon, and then Mucha Lucha, which I liked. But
I like Mucha Lucha too, but it was not Hispanic at all.
I mean,
it made fun of it.
So churros are Mexican, right? Yeah, but Coco really goes for the Pixar feels.
Yeah,
that's really what she wanted to do. That's what I wanted this movie to do.
The only tradition that I saw there that I didn't recognize that much was the petals.
Yeah, well,
maybe it was thrown in there as like a passage kind of thing.
Yeah, well, different areas celebrate Day of the Dead.
Oh yeah, no, I know for sure.
Yeah.
Because like I live border Mexico. That is a mixed culture right there. Because either it's a lot of people who got thrown back, like got deported. It's sad to say, but this is how I lived my life, okay? Whoever crossed the border and came back to Mexico, mostly they would choose the main city that was closest to the border because there's always family there. Or there are chances of you working out your paper, your solutions to get back into Mexico the legal way. So that whole area, border Mexico, is like, it's a whole bunch of different cultures from inside Mexico. And inside Mexico is like, everybody has their own different thing going on.
Yeah, so the pedals are probably from like one small, like a bunch of other places, bunch of areas. It's not like every other movie you see where it's like Day of the Dead, like Ninja Turtles, BVS, where it's like everyone's painted like a skeleton.
Oh my god.
But he did paint his face like a skeleton at one point.
Yeah. Well, it is a thing. It's a tradition, like, to be able, it's kind of like putting yourself in the in-between.
Yeah, it's like a regional thing.
Yeah.
But like, and this kind of like pulls from different traditions, kind of. Yeah. But I enjoyed Hector, who's kind of like,
yeah.
he's a con artist skeleton who tries to go to the living world every Day of the Dead.
Yeah, they make you feel like he is a con artist for a very good reason, though.
Yeah, like he's a sleazy kind of guy who's like, no, I'm just trying to go to the world of the living, and I'm going to lie and disguise myself and cheat my way into doing it because no one puts up a picture for me so I can actually go there. And his story's kind of sad.
Oh my god, it is so incredibly sad. How do we start it from the very beginning? Like, we found out about the musician being a part of the family, even though the whole family are shoemakers, thanks to the great-grandma, right? No, the great-grandmother.
Great-great-grandma.
Great-great-great-great-great? Second great.
Yeah. Two greats grandma.
Yeah, two greats grandma. After her husband left and never came back, she decided that it was time to build her family up. Like, she raised Coco by herself and everything. And from there, by raising her, she took on the trade of learning how to make shoes. And then it became a familia thing. And everybody became shoemakers.
Yeah, the whole Rivera family is traditionally shoemakers, and Miguel, instead of wanting to be a shoemaker, he wants to be a guitar player. And now that his grandma is kind of like fed up with it, she's like, this is like a Mulan kind of thing where it's like, you will follow the traditions.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then too bad, we're gonna make you a shoemaker anyway. And this is when he kind of is like, enough is enough.
Well, the grandma did something that like every grandma has done before. Like, of old culture.
Yeah.
Like, I've had my grandma say certain things that I'm like, that would put me out on rage. Like a woman belongs in the kitchen kind of thing.
Yeah. Or you belong in the shoemaking business.
Yeah.
And she even smashes his guitar.
Yeah, that's the part I was getting to, is that she got to the point where she, like, broke his guitar. And then, like, went, oh, mijo, everything's gonna be okay. Oh my god, you have no idea how many families do that. It's like, they hurt you and then they want to build you back up.
Yeah.
In their own way.
Yeah, that's very familiar. Yeah.
So, from there, Miguel decides to be like, I don't want to be a part of this family. I don't want to do this. I don't want to make shoes. I'm gonna go find me a guitar and play in that one concert that they get to choose the winner, so he can display his talent. So what happens is he goes to Ernesto de la Cruz.
Yeah.
His
mausoleum.
Mausoleum, yeah. He takes the guitar.
Yeah.
And apparently that opens a rift into the other side.
Yeah, he steals from the dead, so now he's cursed.
Yeah.
The curse is kind of like vague. It's like, I don't know if he stole the guitar and that's what cursed him, or he forsake his family.
Yeah, his family being upset at the fact that he wants to follow in somebody else's footsteps.
Yeah, because...
But maybe it intersected with stealing something from the dead.
Maybe it was like the two things put together. Yeah. Where it was like... Because he says, I don't care about this family. You can forget about me. I don't want to be remembered in this family at all. And then he steals a guitar. Yeah.
Oh my god. So, my favorite part of him stealing the guitar and ending up on the other side was when he meets his family, right? And like, he remembers his uncles, his aunts, because they recognize him and everything, and they take him into like sort of like the system.
Yeah, they take him to, it's like a police station almost.
Yeah, and then they're like, the way for him to get back is by being blessed to go back. Like, this is my blessing to you. You can go back.
Yeah.
As long as you never play music ever again. And that is his great-great-grandma.
Yes.
Saying that to him. The one that forbid music from the very beginning. She's like, I give you my blessing to go back, but never ever play music.
Yes.
And he's like, fine. So he takes the pen and he like immediately goes back into that mausoleum.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, I'm taking this guitar. He grabs the guitar and runs, and then he bursts into a whole bunch of pedals and ends up back in the other side.
Yeah, he's like, 2 seconds! You couldn't go 2 seconds without breaking your promise.
That was the best thing ever. It was like, oh man, he's gonna get away with it.
Yeah, and I think she took off her chancla too.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh my god, the chancla joke was played out so much. And it's literally the worst nightmare ever, okay?
It's like his grandma did it. His great-great-grandma like threatened Ernesto with the chancla.
Yeah.
Well, a boot, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I don't think I've ever met a Mexican mom that hasn't threatened somebody with the chancla.
yeah, it's a pretty like universal kind of thing.
Has your mom ever threatened you with a chancla or a shoe?
No, because we're kind of like
more
like third generation
yeah.
now, so
I wonder if your mom's mom has ever threatened her with a chancla.
I don't know. This would be a fun story to talk about.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, I've been threatened by chanclas, just letting you know that. My mom and my grandma and my other grandma.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
But to avoid the threat of chancla smashing, Miguel runs away.
Sorry.
And he comes across Hector, who's a skeleton who's been trying to cross to the other side every year on Day of the Dead because no one leaves a picture for him. So he's got this scheme going where if he helps Miguel, maybe Miguel can put up a picture for him so he can go back to the land of the living. Miguel's a living kid who could easily cross over if he has the blessing from his family. And Miguel tells Hector, oh, hey, Ernesto de la Cruz, he's actually my great-great-grandfather, and if I get his blessing to be a musician, I can go back and I'll take your picture with me so I can always remember you, and you could go back and see your family. So they have this kind of stereotypical or like kind of cliche thing with like the con man teams up with a young kid who's like too impressionable and too naive, but they flip it on its head. Because do you want to talk about the big reveal?
I know you talk about it. I feel like you're better with words and I just get too emotional with it.
Okay, so throughout this journey, Hector and Miguel, they've been going kind of like on a road trip type adventure through the afterlife. And you find out that Hector, his nickname is Chorizo.
Chorizo!
He's called Chorizo because in life he choked to death or he had food poisoning from a piece of chorizo, right? Miguel goes to see his supposed great-great-grandfather, De La Cruz, and there's a big party, and De La Cruz is like, oh, you're great, you're fantastic, like, I can't believe I had such a great, descendant. And they have such a great celebration together. Miguel is slowly turning into a skeleton, and if he doesn't get back by sunrise, he will be cursed to stay in the afterlife as a skeleton. So he needs to hurry up and get that blessing. De La Cruz is totally down for the blessing. Except, Hector busts in and is like, hey kid, we had a deal. You have to take my picture and put it up in display before sunrise so I can go back to the land of the living. Hector and Ernesto de la Cruz know each other from their past.
Yeah, and this was kind of embedded throughout the whole story that they kind of knew each other because Hector starts singing a song and it would always make fun of musicians saying that they're so selfish. And he talked about how he knew him, but it never felt like he was like...
It felt like a lie. Like he's like, yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah.
But it's...
when you see it back now and you think of the whole story, it felt more like... It felt badly. Their connection was so bad that...
Sour.
Yeah, that's why he talks about him so poorly. Is not poorly, more like... Just I know that person.
Or resentful a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit resentful.
Because Miguel's like, oh, Ernesto's the best musician of all time.
He's okay.
He's got the best eyebrows maybe, but not the best music.
Yeah.
And come to find out, Ernesto and Hector used to be partners together. They left their hometown together to become great musicians. So Hector wanted to go back to his family and actually spend time with his wife and kid. But Ernesto was like, hold on, I'm nothing without your music. You write all the music, I just play it. And I need your help to actually be a success. And Hector's like, I'm done with this music
I want to
thing.
go see my daughter Coco.
I want to see my daughter Coco. And that's when you have the big switch. And also the villain reveal that Ernesto murdered Hector.
For his music.
Stole the music. And that is why Coco's father never came back.
It wasn't chorizo.
It wasn't chorizo at all. Hector was the actual great-great-grandfather of Miguel. And he has quite literally... The way you see the movie after, on a second viewing, is probably going to be totally different. Because now you don't see Hector as this sleazy
You
con
see
man.
you see him as a desperate father trying to see his daughter.
Yeah, one last time before she forgets about him. Because once you're forgotten about in the afterlife, you fade away into
Your final death.
the final death, the true demise of a person.
Which is actually something that's said a lot in our culture. I don't know if it's said a lot in American culture, but I grew up, my grandparents passed away when I was very little. And my mom said that they will never die as long as you remember them.
Yeah, it's kind of a similar thing with my parents where they have this, like, oh, people are never really dead until, like...
You forget about
like,
them.
they always live on your memory.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So Hector is, like, quite literally moments away from the true death because his daughter, Coco, is now a 90-year-old woman in, like, the real world, like, the living world. And she has Alzheimer's or dementia, something where her memory is kind of, like, fading. So
It might just be her old age.
Old age. So Hector's fading fast from the afterlife because his daughter is
The last living source that remembers him.
So even if Miguel goes back, Hector would still fade because he didn't know him in life. That's kind of one of the stipulations about this whole thing. So it's now like a ticking clock to get the picture back to the real world, to get Miguel back to the real world, and to remind Coco, Grandma Coco, about her father. And the conclusion is just like insane and crazy, and a lot of rewarding moments come out of that. It has your
Like,
usual...
We knocked down De La Cruz. That's all I'm happy about.
Yeah. And hopefully he doesn't come back... Well, actually, I'd be glad if there was a sequel. And it was like The Revenge of De La Cruz.
Maybe. But wouldn't you think that he'd be close to disappearing by that point?
Yeah, because they kind of tarnished his reputation, and everyone's like, oh, forget that guy.
Yeah.
Which might be good motivation for him to come back and be like, I have to stop this family from ruining my name. Which could be like, I know Disney and Pixar sequels are kind of like, they only do the really successful franchises like Toy Story, Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Monsters Inc. So this one might not get a sequel, at least anytime soon. Even Frozen, which is like one of Disney's biggest hits right now, it's taken a while for them to get a sequel. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure if Coco would get it. Well, if Planes can get a sequel, I think Coco could.
Okay. We're moving far, far from the topic.
Yeah, the topic of Coco.
And for some reason, I just thought right now, because we skipped over this one important, not important, but one thing that was in there that I really like, Alegrijes.
Oh yeah, because you don't see these in a lot of shows that talk about like Mexican culture, because it's usually just Day of the Dead, or it's wrestlers, or it's like burritos and churros. But spirit guides are kind of like a big deal, at least in art and stuff like that.
I never knew them by name, but I know that there's always like something that passes you on into the afterlife. Like you can always have a guide.
Yeah.
But I never knew them as Alegri. I know other mythological, like Mexican mythological stuff.
Yeah, like chupacabras.
I know of other stuff, but yeah, chupacabra can be one.
Yeah. There's kind
No,
of...
el cucuy. That's
cucuy.
one.
La Llorona.
La Llorona.
Which actually was a pretty good song, this one.
Los cuervos? Cuervos? It's like a crow, but it's a witch crow thing.
Oh, you've told me about that one.
Yeah.
Also, the music is really great.
Oh my god! Okay, so for Miguel to get into Ernesto de la Cruz's like big party, that sunrise thing, they do a little competition for music, and I love this is my Mexican side coming out, but I love El Grito that you do at the beginning of the song. And like at first when I was little, like I'd be so embarrassed of my mom listening to songs with like that pure Mexican sound of like the Mexican yelling at the very beginning. I don't know if anybody can understand what I mean, and I don't want to do the sound because it'd be so
Yeah, we did before the podcast.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna cut that part out though.
But it's that little like that yell in the beginning. Like most people like always think it's like, oh, that's that drunk yell that Mexicans do in their drunk songs. No, that sound is like the starting point. Like it's a sound to hype yourself up, not only as an artist but your audience. It's like trying to convey emotion into a sound kind of thing.
Yeah, it's you're your own hype man, and you're like kind of setting the tone and setting the pace for your own performance. And I was like, oh, that makes sense now. Because to me, I was like, that's just something people do in songs because it's a thing that people do in songs. And then I was like,
when Hector was teaching Miguel how to like get over his nerves a little bit so you can sing a song on stage, and he was like,
that's the sound you always make as a kid because you're like, I don't really know how to do this.
Yeah. But then when he hits that stage and actually does El Grito, that's pure perfect.
Yeah.
And then the song he sang, Poco Loco, I love it. I I don't know why it like felt so Pedro Infante for me, and I was like, this is so adorable.
Yeah. Poco Loco, and then Remember Me. That was like the big one. I think everyone's gonna.
And
be
then
like,
there was the other one that Hector sang.
Yeah. Oh man. The one he sang to the older skeleton. Right?
Yeah.
I really like that one too.
Which one was? What was the name of the song? It was a woman's name. Mujer.
Everyone knows Juanita.
Juanita.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, ha.
Y La Llorona.
Mm-hmm.
I like that song mainly because it was Coco's mom singing Llorona on stage, and it was like that nice Mexican mariachi sound, and it was like, oh, this is too much for me.
Yeah, this is like fan service right now. And like right before the movie started, you got some of the crew kind of like talking about the movie, and I was like, oh, so genuine, so real for me right now.
Like I like how they said that how the project started as only 4 people.
Yeah, and now it became like all these like just
different artists.
That one opening shot when you get to the afterlife, and it's like 10,000 houses in the background.
Yeah,
and it's just like, I could feel like your hand squeeze me. You're like, look at this. Look at how this looks. This is us. This is all about us. Yeah. And like throughout
this is my culture on a screen.
Yes.
And it's so colorful, and it's not portrayed as something evil or crazy. It's
or
like
full of drugs.
Oh my god! Like.
Because nowadays it's like,
this is so beautiful.
Yeah, nowadays it's like the big thing people focus on are like the cartels, Day of the Dead,
can you imagine
piñatas.
some racist person being like, oh, look at him crossing another border to the afterlife.
Actually, I kind of thought of that.
I was like, oh!
Because to go from the afterlife to like the living world, you need to pass through customs. And I was like, oh no, people are going to talk about this.
Oh my god.
But it's actually kind of a cute thing. Because like you get your face scanned and like they check if you have a photo in the real world. Oh my god. I kind of just keep thinking of Hector. I'm like,
it makes you want to cry.
Skeleton man. I've never cried for a skeleton before. Not even Jack Skellington.
No.
I don't give a crap about that guy, but Hector.
Yeah.
Do you think this movie's gonna have like a big impact on like people?
I don't know, but for my culture, I hope it does. Like, I really hope it does. Because for me, like, living in America now, like, actually, like, we're kind of close to being in the center of America, right?
Yeah, we're in the Midwest right now.
Yeah,
we live in the Midwest right now. It's Chicago, but it's still the middle.
Like, a lot of things here just feel so different, like, from what I grew up to. Like, I'm from Arizona and Mexico. Like, I lived half of my life in Mexico.
Yeah.
And if this doesn't connect to some people from where I'm from, I feel like, I don't know. Like, I feel like some people would be like, oh yeah. And some people would be like, not all of this is all related to our culture.
Hashtag not all Mexicans.
Yeah. Because I was just talking about this earlier. Like, somebody at work was like making fun of me because I like speaking Spanish, or that I like correcting other people's Spanish, like, because I don't want my culture to be lost, what I grew up with. And like, seeing this is just like, maybe there's some time, like, some way for our culture to survive.
Yeah.
Like, being far from the border or anything like that. Because I know a lot of Mexican American people who don't know Spanish.
Like me.
Like you. And it kind of makes me a little bit angry, and I know I shouldn't, and I try not to be, because it's understandable that we are Mexican American, not Mexican, but like, I just want this culture to survive.
Yeah.
I don't want it to die out and be known as like we're just poor or stealing or dirty people or anything like that. We're bright, vibrant, family surrounding culture. We work hard, and this has portrayed a lot of that.
It's got the whole gambit of things that like don't get shown in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
At least here in America. And I was like, oh, you're doing the Lord's work right now, Disney. You're doing like a lot of the times Disney movies, they kind of like either not whitewash, that's not, they get culture like Pocahontas, and they kind of like mess with
it down,
mess with it a little bit. Moana from last year, I think, was like a pretty good blend of like, this is Polynesian culture but put on the big screen, and this is our Moana pretty much. This is Mexican culture on the big screen.
I just hope that a lot of people don't become offended as much as like other people from Moana got offended about it, like saying like, oh, we don't need saving or anything like that.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people who got kind of offended, and then they were like, we're not Hawaiian, we're not this, we don't need saving, our culture is still strong. And I understand that our culture is still strong. I just want other people to understand how strong our culture can be, and I don't want it to die out.
Yeah. Do you think this is going to win any awards? Specifically Oscars?
Hope so. I hope so. And especially because one actor that's in there that I've seen in other movies, that man is great. And I think he was Hector.
Yes, I know Hector was
he's in the Motorcycle Diaries, and he's in Science of Sleep. I think that's the actor. I hope so.
Yeah.
I didn't do all my research, but I remember watching those movies.
Yeah, usually Andrea's like doing the research, but I'm like, let's talk about this movie.
Immediately once we get home.
Let's talk about this movie I really liked, because I really want to talk about it, and I don't care.
I didn't want to talk about it immediately when I got home, because I was like still crying. I was like crying on the bus still. I was like, like we didn't even leave the theater for a while because I was still crying.
Yeah, this movie hit you pretty good, like in a good kind of way.
Hit me in the gut, in the feels, in the face, in the eyeballs.
I really love the movies like A Silent Voice, Your Name, and I think those are like could be nominated this year technically because they were released this year in America. But I think just because it's a traditional Disney movie and people vote for Disney movies when it comes to the Oscars, I think Coco is going to win this year. But I wouldn't. I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head what else came out this year. Like it's
like animated.
Yeah, it's like Coco, and regular Disney didn't have a movie this year. Boss Baby better not win a freaking award. I mean, Lego Batman, Coco, and like the 2 anime movies that came out this year. The Emoji Movie is gonna be winning Razzies this year, but not an Oscar.
I don't want this movie to win something. Like best voice actors, best music, best freaking everything.
There's animated awards, and then there's like the Oscars, which pretty much only gives out one award, and that's the best animated picture. You know what? I think they should. I don't know if they could, but if they wanted to, maybe they could do a push to have an actor do a voice acting, like best supporting actor be a voice actor. But then they've never let what's his face, Andy Serkis, get a nomination for anything. So I don't know how far they're willing to push the whole acting thing.
Can I bring something up?
Yes.
Still something about the movie?
Yes.
Okay. There was a thing. There was a song. You liked this song a lot. Remember Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, like when it first came out, we saw Ernesto de la Cruz singing it, and he was singing it like to a big audience, and it was colorful. He had he had a lot of dancers, you know, those huge set, like when you're singing at a stadium kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right? And it was so pretty, and it like felt so great. Like it's like one of those songs like you're like, oh, this is the song we're gonna remember you by. Like this is your final song. And it's funny because it was his final song. He just died immediately on stage because a freaking bell fell on him. And it made you feel like, oh, that's how he died. Oh, so sad. Like, because we didn't know he was a villain.
Yeah.
Until later on. And then we hear the backstory to that song. So Hector sang this song to his little girl every time he would have to leave and everything. And it made me so sad, like him singing this song to his little girl. And it's just, there's so much, like, the meaning behind the song changed.
Yeah.
And it felt so pretty.
Oh man, now you're getting to me again. Remember Me, that's why it's my favorite. Like, I liked it when Ernesto sang it, but I loved it when Hector started singing it. And it was like, it gives you those feels of like when Jesse was being left by her owner.
Oh.
And like that and a few moments from Inside Out are like the big really like tear-jerking moments
Yeah.
from like Disney, at least Pixar Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh man. And it even has kind of like the similar shading and like kind of flashback effects as like Jesse's flashback.
Isn't it like that sepia art style?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, like the weird shading color. Yeah.
To make it look like a flashback.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's kind of accurate to how long ago that would have been.
Yeah.
Because like
I still
ago?
have pictures that are that color from my mom.
Yeah, from like 90 years ago.
Yeah.
No, not 90 years ago for your mom. Sorry.
My mom has like a lot of pictures of her taking when she was a child, and they're all black and white or the sepia. Is that how you say it?
My parents have that kind
like,
too.
I have pictures of my mom in that color of pictures. So, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that's it for Coco?
Did we talk about the ending?
I mean, they could find out the ending for themselves.
That's true.
But yeah, the ending is like the big thing that hit me. And then Andrea kind of just like fell into my arms with tears.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, this is worth it. This is worth... we should have sprung for like IMAX.
Yeah.
We saw Justice League in IMAX. Why not this one?
Because we don't always have money. That's the problem.
Yeah, but this was worth it.
It was.
I think so. Yeah.
Bring some tissue, guys.
Yeah, or just like use your... It's cold. You have a long sleeve in the winter.
Or
just use your sleeve.
Or use your partner.
Use your partner's sleeve. That's really... The best advice is to share snot with those you love. Because you never know how long you'll be in the living world. And you might just like throw your guitar at people. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm definitely owning this movie when it comes out.
Yeah, we're going to get it.
Yeah.
Hopefully Olaf, like his little adventure is not going to be on the Blu-ray. Or maybe it will.
It probably will be, but it won't be like the starting thing. That's like...
Special features.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder how people are actually going to view this movie, because I know it has like a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, but I don't know how audiences feel about it. And it did have a larger opening than Justice League. It made like 60 or 70 million more.
Like for reals? Or is this just a rumor thing?
No, well, they do like predictions and calculations, but I think on opening day, it already made more than Justice League did all weekend. So,
I can see that. Like, I like you, Justice League, but I don't think I like you as much as I like Coco now.
Yeah, Coco...
Like, I was happy as a fangirl because, you know me, I go back with DC, okay? Like, I love you, DC, but goddamn.
God damn it, Zack Snyder. But anyway, I think that's going to be it for this Coco discussion and spoiler cast. Not really spoiler cast, just like review, kind of.
Our feelings.
Our feelings were hurt, but at the same time, nurtured. I don't know. It was good. It was good brain candy.
Yeah, and it made me want to go back to Mexico and show Marco more of my culture.
Yeah. I should go back to the land of my mother's side of my people. But anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this conversation, you can definitely leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm Marco from Nerd Boys Comic Blog, and I was joined today by...
Andrea!
We'll see you guys next time.